Hey, welcome to another episode of Conversation with Dr. Silva, a show where your voice matters. And today we have two wonderful guests from Warriors Without a Cause. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, first of all, I want to know, how did you guys come up with the name?
Well, a little bit of a story to that. There's a program to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society called Man Women of the Year. And it's a 10-week competition to see who could raise the most money in those 10 weeks. And it's all anonymous. You don't know until the very end. They have a big gala to announce who was crowned the Man and Woman of the Year. And I had lost my dad to leukemia, and I convinced my sister to run for Woman of the Year. And we had to name our team. We named it Pasquale's Warriors. That was my dad. After that took place, we ended up winning, by the way. We've set a record of the year of what was raised. We raised $86,000 in those 10 weeks.
That's wonderful.
After that, a group of us got together and says, well, what are we going to do next? We had such a great time working together, and we wanted to take on other projects. And so we came up with the idea instead we couldn't call it Pasquale's Warriors because it wasn't just about leukemia and my dad. So we called it, and we felt that we wanted to support multiple causes. So there's different people in the group who have causes that are close to their heart, so we wanted to be able to support them all. So we called this Warriors for a Cause, and we just support all causes.
Fantastic. And your name?
I'm Tony Lubrano.
And Tony, you are related to the group how?
I am the president of the Warriors for a Cause. Reluctantly, I turned it down several times, but for some reason I got picked.
You back in,
I got picked, yes.
I turned it down initially. I'm Roy DeMarco. I'm the treasurer. And Tony and I got together several years ago, before we were a formal 501c3, just doing various events. And really one of the big events was the Night on the Town for Lymphoma Leukemia Society, which is the one we just had last week, and it was the eighth year. And Tony did reach his personal goal of $1 million that he promised his dad that he would raise.
Congratulations, that's wonderful.
He did it faster than he thought. He thought he was going to have to turn it over to his sons,
to finish after I was
daughter, but the event just kept growing every year. And then by the support of the Warriors over the years, and the event kept growing, it just earned more money each night that we had that event. So, and we were very happy this year to be part of it. It raised just about $320,000
in one night.
In one night.
Wow.
So, which got to Tony's goal to reach over $1 million. So that was a great success. And then we also another one of our other big events is the Stephen Stiller Foundation, that 5K run walk every September, and we also been doing that. And we are the second largest group that partakes in that event, and there's about 35,000 people that do go to that event. The largest group is the cadets, but they have to go.
From West Point. They're told to get on the bus. They don't have a choice.
We are the largest private group, and initially we had maybe 50, 60 people the first year, and last year 400 people. We're hoping to hit the 500 mark this year, but that is a great event. It's an emotional event, and we call it one of those bucket list items because it's very emotional. It actually was Stephen Stiller was a Long Island firefighter who perished. He was at his Brooklyn firehouse, and he was driving home, and he heard the news on the radio. He was going to go play golf with his brothers, and he said, "I can't go." He called his brother and his wife and said, I'm going back, I need to help. So he was stuck in traffic, couldn't go anywhere, left his keys in his car, went to the firehouse, put on his gear, and started his trek through the Brooklyn Battery Park Tunnel to get to the area. So unfortunately he perished. So the family started this foundation. That's got to be 14 years ago.
This will be the 16th year now, so they did it.
And we have now been participating in it now for
This will be our sixth year. It's a very emotional event. That day on 9/11, 343 firefighters lost their lives. What they have now is when you come out of the tunnel on the Manhattan side, they have lined up on your left-hand side, probably every arm length apart, is United States Marine holding an American flag. The line goes 343 deep. And on the right-hand side, facing them, is a New York City firefighter, each one holding a banner with a picture, name, and rank of each of the 343 they lost. And families stopped to look for their loved ones and stopped for pictures. And they're high-fiving all the firefighters, and it's an incredibly emotional event. And when we noticed this year, actually last year, was the very first banner is Stephen Stiller's banner. And there was a relatively young man, looked to be into me like in his early 20s. So we stopped to talk to him. I said, out of all the people here, how did you get the honor of holding Stephen Silva's banner? And he said Stephen was his uncle, and he followed in his uncle's footprints, and he's a New York City firefighter. And we stopped to take a picture with him.
That was great.
Oh, that's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
How many events would you say you guys pretty much put together on a
Some
on
big,
an
some
annual-
small, but
Yeah.
those are our two largest events. But we've done walks for epilepsy. We've participated in the in Bosom Buddies event where they raise money for breast cancer. We've participated in blood drives for the Carly Rose Foundation. We are supporters of the Michael Magro Foundation. These are all people who are our members, and we participate in all of their events. One of the things that's amazing about our group is that we're probably, even though we're 3 officers and 12 directors are officially in the organization, there are probably around 30 to 35 members who are all in. So anytime anybody has a cause that's close to them, we'll let us know, we'll help. So some bigger, some smaller, sometimes
Yeah.
just a golf outing that we bring 10 people to, and sometimes it's 500 people we bring to an event.
It's amazing. Tell me you were telling me a little bit before about guerrilla philanthropy, which I think is I love first of all the title of it, but
One of our members, one of our founding members and one of our directors is Rick Collins. He's an attorney in Mineola. Next year he's taking over as president of the Nassau County Bar Association. And when we first started meeting, we started going around the table and talking about things that we're proud of, things that we've done in the past, and just to let everybody get to know each other a little better. And he's coined the phrase guerrilla philanthropy. And he said, anybody can write a check, and there's certainly nothing wrong with writing a check. But he says what's more significant and meaningful and something you're going to take out of it is something that you get your hands dirty with. So he told us the stories of how in the mid-90s, when Penn Station was a real problem with the homeless situation there, he would collect winter coats, go down there, and he wouldn't just drop them off. He would find homeless men sitting on the side and have them stand up and say, what size do you think you are? Let's try this one on, and try coats on them. And he had grown men crying who said for the first time and when they could remember, somebody actually treated them as actually even being human, recognizing them as being people. And he continues that tradition now with each year in December, buying winter boots, raising money for that, and we support that event, of course, and going to the city and picking a spot and not just dropping off boots at a station and at a homeless station and saying, okay, thanks, goodbye. He'll sit there and say, what size are you? Let's try these on. And if those don't fit, let's try those on. And you can't get more basic than guerrilla philanthropy than that.
that's wonderful. And about the lady that works at Winthrop, I thought that was
Yes, Terry Magro.
yes.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal woman. And as Tony was mentioning before, that she was personally, her and her husband were personally affected by blood cancer, with blood losing one of their sons, Micro Magro, and hence the Micro Magro Foundation. So they formed the foundation to help, with other families going through a similar situation, because it becomes very emotional and also very stressful for families to go through. And as Tony mentioned earlier, maybe both parents can't work, want to
Right.
stay home with the child or take them to treatment, so that it becomes a financial burden, which they went through. So what she does is she will help those families in need with prescriptions, electric bills, gas, whatever those families need that they can help out to help them through that traumatic situation while their child is going through the treatment. Every little bit helps, and living through it, she understands it, so she decided her mission was to help others who were going through what she went through, and that's her mission. And she has raised over $1.6 million in about 14 years. Keeps growing every year. The word keeps going, out as well. And we also have another member, Lisa Cangelosi, who has the Carly Rose Foundation, very similar in Queens. She has a big event in July called Christmas in July. Brings families in. At a venue, gives out gifts, so they can have some sense of normalcy for a day. And the families get together, so they really appreciate that, because it's hard to see them in the hospital, so they're allowed to get out of the hospital, go to this venue for the day, and just have a a good time.
The last 2 years, we've done it at LIJ's Long Island Jewish Hospital, Cohen's Children's Oncology Unit, and we throw a Christmas party. We have
Right.
one of our members, Rich Cruz, dresses up as
Santa
Santa,
Claus.
and she buys gifts for each kid, not just for the child, but for the siblings, and has an age and gender appropriate gift for each person in the room, and then calls them up, okay, all the 1-year-old boys, all the 1-year-old girls, all the 2s, and works away all the way up to 16-year-olds. And we all volunteer. Our whole group is there that day providing food and music, and my job that day is I make cotton candy all day. We all have our roles.
And she's outgrowing that venue, so she's going to be having it at a larger place just to get more families to go. So those are the type of things that our organization does. You know, whether it's helping out, whether it's giving $1,000 or $500. You know, with the events that we raise. You know, Tony at his restaurant puts on events. Maybe it's a comedy night, maybe it's a paint night.
What's the name of your restaurant, by the way?
Piccola Bussola, I own 3 of them. I run the one in Mineola on Jericho Turnpike, but I have one in Huntington, and then our original one in Glen Cove is La Bussola. My dad actually started it, and he's the reason I got involved in charitable causes was I lost my dad to leukemia. He was first diagnosed. He was told he had about a year to live. We went to Sloan Kettering for a second opinion, and while they confirmed the diagnosis, they said to him, look, you're going to be dead at the end of the year anyway. We have some experimental things we'd like to try. Can we do that? And he always had a sense of humor. He says, I got nothing to lose. What the heck? Go for it. And whatever they gave him stabilized him for a period of time. And after about a year and change, his blood count started to drop again. So they told us, listen, we never actually expected this to work this long anyway, but we have something else. Would you like to try that? And something else when one stopped working. And instead of a year, he ended up living for 15 years. When he was first diagnosed, he did not have a single grandchild. By the time he passed, 8 of his grandchildren got to meet him. We were given a huge gift. And my sister and I thought about it and said, somebody came long before us and raised money for that research. We have a bill to pay. So that's when we decided we can't put a price on 15 years, but let's try to raise $1 million. So we went to Leukemia and Lymphoma and told them our story. And of course, back then, didn't really take us quite so seriously. When we walked in and said we're going to raise $1 million, we're here to pay the bill. Obviously, they take us a lot more serious now. We've done this event called Night on the Town at Jericho Terrace, where we bring in 25 restaurants, a swing band, open bar. There's Broadway singers in the other room. It's basically a 4-hour cocktail party. And the first year we did it, we raised $20,000, and we thought, wow, that's a lot of money. And last Thursday night, we raised $320,000. Which allowed me to go to the cemetery the next day and tell my dad the bill was paid. We hit our $1 million.
That's great. That's great. Getting me emotional here. No, it's a wonderful story. About the lady that works here, which I thought was interesting, I think it should be shared here, about the work that she does with Winthrop. But the work that she does is raising money. Like, she was asking, the family members, sometimes they can't afford to pay their bills. She would take care of it. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, Terry Magro had 2 sons. Her first son diagnosed with leukemia was at around the same time that the doctors told her son was going to be fine. Her other son is diagnosed with leukemia and dies real quickly 4 months after that. And I don't know about you, but I think I would have been destroyed by that. How do you pray to God to save your son only to lose the other? And instead, she has an amazing heart. I've never seen her without a smile on her face. She dedicated, her and her husband, Paul, dedicated their life to making a difference. She works at Winthrop. She was originally a nurse there. And what she does is when it's really grassroots, hands-on, the kind of a different direction than what Leukemia and Lymphoma Society does, which is more based on research, which is, like I said, close to my heart. But what she does is when families come in there and they don't have the ability to pay a bill, or one of the parents gives up their job to become a primary caregiver, and all of a sudden the car payment is late. She doesn't hand out checks. She says, give me a bill, I'll take care of it. But she has accounts with local merchants in town in Mineola, near Winthrop, Franwin Pharmacy. She tells them a lot of times they'll get a prescription, either it's not covered by their insurance or the copay is some ridiculous number. And she says, don't worry, just go in there and fill it, there'll be no bill. And she goes there at the end of the month and settles that bill. She does the same thing with Nux Deli, just down the road as well, where she'll say, you've been here all day, why don't you take a break, go get something to eat. And she says, just tell them who you are, there's no bill there either, because she goes and settles that at the end of the month. She does events throughout the year, whether it be car washes to basketball tournaments to to her big gala at Eisenhower Park, where she does this big gala similar to what we do with Night on the Town, where she raises a great deal of money as well.
That's great.
And she's one of our warriors.
So how many years have you guys been doing this? I know you probably mentioned, but for me again.
Well, we've been officially as a 501c3, we're in infancy stage. We got our designation in January. But we've been doing this as if we were for the last six or so years, and even more, maybe.
I
Actually,
started. This is my eighth year with the Night on the Town.
Right.
This will be our 6th year with the Stephen Silva Foundation. A lot of us in the group all knew each other and worked on different projects together. And over the years, we kept talking about making this a more formal organization and applying to become a 501c3. And part of that held us back was the cost of doing that and the time that it requires to make that all happen, and the filing fees and all that. But people in our group, we have accountants, we have attorneys who said, oh, don't worry, there's no fee, we'll just do it ourselves. And everybody donated those things. So we really had, our costs were minimal.
Again, that's when everybody steps up. Okay. So, from the legal aspect, Vince Antonelli and Rick Collins are both attorneys, and Vince took, all the legal aspect to get us our 501c3 designation.
And Patty Palmieri is our secretary. She's an attorney in town as well.
We have an accountant, Bob Jahelka. His firm is DSJ CPA, and he volunteered to do all the accounting for the organization. There is some marketing guy that we know there that does the website work and all the marketing
Roy does
work,
all of that.
I wonder who that marketing guy is.
Yes. Roy takes care of all of that. He handles our website, all our social media. What's great about our organization is that everybody brings something to the table.
I love it.
And we have, if we don't have somebody in the room who can handle something, there's chances are that somebody in the room knows somebody who can handle that. And we constantly bring people in that way.
We have, I think, a perfect segue into how the Warriors, if we can't do something, we know someone who can. And through the Stephen Stiller Foundation, we were trying to tell you this earlier about the first smart home that's being built on Long Island in Melville. Chris Levy is the recipient, and you have to be a triple amputee to qualify. So the Stephen Stiller Foundation called Tony and said, we're looking to build this home on the island, but we're looking for an architect. Do we know an architect? And Tony goes, do we know an architect? We actually know his shirt size. You want to know his shirt size? So we can put you in touch with David Lamina, a partner at H2M. And once Tony made the call, David said, I'm in. And he took the ball and started rolling with it. And then we actually had Tony arranged a kind of a contractors get together to see who we can bring to the table to help contribute to the smart home, whether it's building supply companies, plumbers, electricians, roofing material. And we brought people to the table who have now signed on to help with the house, and they want to kind of follow that kind of path throughout the country now, because we're able to bring so much to the table. The more money that gets donated, the more services that get donated means the more homes could be built, because they'll have more money to build homes for others around the country. So so we are able to just bring these people to the table and step right in. And the home actually is in progress now. Slated for
somewhere
maybe July 4th dedication. But a lot goes into a smart home. Technology. First of all, finding the land, but all that was taken care of and getting all the permits, and now it's just a matter of just getting all the finishing touches.
If you go to the Stephen Silva website, it's Homes for Heroes, and you can see videos where they show you what these homes are, how involved they are. And even though Chris Levy is able to walk, he has 2 prosthetic legs, they want to build these homes because they're called forever homes, because they don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now, if he's going to still be able to use those legs or it'll be confined to a wheelchair. So he shows videos of some of these veterans who, in a wheelchair, roll into a kitchen, looks like a normal American kitchen, granted a really nice one, but it has to serve the rest of the family. But when the veteran goes there, he pushes a button on his iPad, and the kitchen counters recede into the floor to become height of his wheelchair. He wants a glass of water. He doesn't have to ask somebody for help. The cabinet comes down or recedes down just from a touch of his iPad, and the faucet is motion sensor, so he just goes there, puts his glass, and water comes out to give him a life of independence. What they'd asked, Stephen Siller had asked us, they said they knew there was a company on Long Island called H2M, who sometimes does some sort of charitable work, and do we know anybody there? And it ends up that every year H2M takes a full bus to our event. They said, we'll fill up our own bus, just put us down for one bus, we'll take care of it. And they bring 55 people. And that's when he said about the shirt size. He says, you know anybody at H2M? You want to know the president's shirt size? Because he's been supporting your event for the last 5 years. So we arranged this contractors dinner, and in most other parts of the country, they raise all the money and they pay for it all. In our case here, at that dinner, Chris Levy was there, an amazing young man. He gave a speech that I can't repeat, I can't duplicate his words, but basically he was saying that by being part of this process, he's the 57th home being built across this country. He got to meet a lot of those other guys who came before him. And he said, one thing we all have in common when we suffer these kind of injuries, and to qualify for the program, you have to have lost use of 3 of your 4 limbs. So it's not just minor injuries here. And he said, one of the things we all have in common is when we're injured like this, you can't help but feel anger. You can't help but feel hate. You can't but feel resentment. He said, but when you get a home like this, you're not just giving us a physical surrounding. You're doing something different. You're changing our hearts. Because the heart is an amazing thing. It's not capable of feeling gratitude and hate at the same time. It can feel disappointment and hate at the same time. When you give us one of these homes, you push those negative feelings out of our heart and fill us with gratitude. So you're not just changing our physical environment, you're changing our hearts. And that made, everybody started crying in the room. There wasn't a dry eye. And at that point, the people in charge of the Stephen Silva Foundation, George Linkletter and John Hodges, said, okay, who wants to volunteer to do something for this house? And of course, H2M was there, and they says, we'll take care of all of the drawing, planning for the house. In fact, they held a contest with the young architects in the company. They have 300 architects, and they had them all design homes. And they narrowed it down to 3, and then those 3 groups got to present the plans to Chris and said, which house do you like? And he got to pick that house. Wow. But then at that point, went around the room and said, who else? And somebody stood up, Harry Katz floor covering, said, I'll take care of all the floor covering in the house. And then somebody from the Nassau County Plumbers Association says, we got the plumbing. Then Kohler was there and says, we're going to put in the bathroom. And somebody else says, I'll take care of a generator, the painting.
Electrical work.
Yeah, there was Terrence Timlin says, I got every light fixture in the house, just tell me the specs of what you need. And people were crying in that room. It was a very emotional night.
I'm trying to hold back my tears.
But those are the things that the people in the organization just love to do, help others.
But hands-on help others. There's the difference.
That's what we did. What we did was put people together to help bring resources to help build a home. And once people knew that, it's not inexpensive, as you know, to build a home on Long Island, let alone the property. So this will be their most expensive home. But the progress of how it got put together, the Stephen Silva Foundation would love to use this model, moving forward, because to get the help. But we live in a very unique place where we know people, New York, Long Island. So we were able to pull between Tony, myself, and other members in there. We were able to fill that room with contractors and resources that no one probably thought could be done. They were astonished, they did, and hence, everybody stood up who was there and volunteered. So it's a great feeling. It's going to be a great feeling when he gets to move in. We were there for the groundbreaking back
that was an amazing
in the fall. But it's going to be great to actually get him to see him move in. So what a great story. Great. I call him a kid because he's younger than us, but a great young man.
An amazing sense of humor. The day of the groundbreaking, we're all standing in the street as this property. They're going to do, the shovel, breaking ground kind of thing. And we're waiting for the fire department was there, and they're going to raise this big American flag in front. And Chris is standing kind of on the side of the road. And a truck is coming down the road, and somebody yells out, Chris, back up. The truck, points the truck. Kid doesn't move a muscle. He just stands there, looks at the truck, looks back at them, and remember, he has 2 artificial legs, but he's standing there, and he says, and he jokes about it. He says, "So they run over my feet. What am I going to feel it?" So the young man has got an incredible sense of humor about his situation.
Wow, what words can be said? It's like when I was talking about the show. The vision for my show is basically. Show a TV show where your voice matters, and voices that you guys have, and the things that you're putting out there, where you guys are bringing these people together and so on. And I always said, John F. Kennedy said, don't ask what your country could do for you, but what you could do for your country. But I said, we should take it a step further. You guys are the embodiment of that. Ask what your community can do for each other. And you guys have done that and continue to do that. Share with us what you would want. What is your dream? What is your dream for this wonderful organization that you're continuing the process? It's a work in progress, and you guys accomplished so much. Like you said, you reached your goal there of $1 million much sooner than you thought. And it's endless. When people come together, we're unstoppable. You have a cause. I love the name of your organization, and so tell me what your dreams are, how more people could join this cause, and
yeah, we're actually we want to planning a kickoff event, cocktail party sometime in the next few months
to celebrate becoming our 501c3.
A 501c3, and to really introduce the organization to others. Whether it's for members or whether it's corporations or people just want to help out. Like I said, it's not always about, you want to make sure you're crying there.
I know, it's okay.
We'll tell them our website and how they can get in touch with us.
So we have all the information on our website, warriorsforacause.org. And there's all
we have a Facebook presence also
of membership resources, events that we've participated in, causes that are close to our heart that we've helped out and with whether it's volunteering or monetarily, but we've only started. We're in our infancy stage. So I think our plan is we want to be controlled in what we do. We want the idea was to help the community that we live in and those smaller organizations that really need the dollars to do what they do, like the Micro Magro Foundation, like the Carly Rose Foundation, like the Long Island chapter of the Epilepsy Foundation, the Long Island chapter, the LLS, the Lymphoma Leukemia Society, things of that nature. That's where I think our heart has been and where we want to be, to help those who really need those resources that make the difference. Whether it's research or whether it's like what Terry Magro does or Alicia does to help families out, to us, it's all good. And those are the things that we want to do. So we want to really spread the word. We want to grow our organization. But in order to do that, you need to build up the membership and build up some visibility. As everybody knows, out of sight, out of mind. You have to be out there, and you have to showcase what you do and tell your story. And the story that we do tell people gravitate to it, and they come to us and say, how can we join? We like this. We want to be part of this somehow, in all different facets.
Right. We feel that everybody in their heart wants to do good and wants to make a difference in this world. Sometimes they just need someone to point them in the right direction. And I think that's our gift, is that we bring people together. We've been blessed to bring such an amazing group. We touched on some of those people who are our members, but that room is filled with people like that, who are willing to step up and do the right thing and to do something outside of the box. It's not just writing a check. It's making the world better because you want to do something with your own hands.
And that's kind of on our website. It's, making a difference, making the world a better place. And even the little things like Janet, she there's an assisted living facility in Roslyn, and she goes there and visits, the
Sun Harbor.
Patients at Sun Harbor, and they wanted to do something for our organization. They wanted to help, raise money. So she's putting together a program where they'll write out their name and they'll make it like a star or a sticker and
put it on the wall.
Put it on the wall, and it'll be $1.
But they're going to raise money.
But they're going to raise money, and they also asked us to go down there and maybe spend a couple of hours, on a Sunday afternoon, just meeting the people there and just engaging with them. So those are the things that we do. When we talk about it's just going there and giving. Showing some emotion to people and making it humanizing the whole situation.
The real philanthropy.
So
that's what we do.
So that's and we will be able to pull that together. So and that's satisfying. That's just great work, and we love the people that are in our group.
Become very close.
How can you not?
It's an amazing group of people.
And
it really
becomes addicting. That's really what it is.
That's a good term.
It becomes addicting because as a business owner all my life, as a business owner all his life, we don't take no for an answer. If you tell us we can't do something, we will prove you wrong.
Right.
So, and we have people like that of like-mindedness in our group. So don't tell us something that we think we can't do, because we will do that. And we have come through
On a number of
occasions, and we've shined, more than people thought we were going to shine.
The more we
And,
do, the more you want to do. When you have one of these successful events, the next thought in everyone's mind is not like, oh, we're done, we're tired. The next thought in their minds is, okay, what can we do next?
Right.
What's next is always our thing. Even with the Carly Rose Foundation, she started a blood drive because when her daughter was going through leukemia treatment,